Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my frozen, cold, windy casa, my hacienda, my house here in Livingston, Montana. Okay, today's date is the 18th of December of 2021. And what I'm doing today basically is just giving everybody a shout out for Christmas. You might as well consider this my Christmas e-card to everybody, And I do wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year and all that stuff. But in the meantime here, I thought I would tell a story, a true story about the last time I ever cut a live Christmas tree. Now bear with me, don't go to sleep. This story may be of some interest to you, whatever here. But it was either 1997 or 98. I was sitting here before I started up this webcam, and I just can't quite remember what year it was, but I definitely know where I was living. I was living in West Yellowstone, Montana. My family was living up there. My wife was up there. She had a management job at one of the big hotels. West Yellowstone, Montana is nothing more than a tourist trap. And housing kind of, if you know anything about tourist places or whatever, housing is at a premium. Usually you can find jobs all over the place at tourist traps, but housing is a different issue, And so I have to tell you this part of the story so that my Christmas tree story makes sense. But the wife and I were taking care of this great big huge building for this millionaire that she worked for. He was the owner of one of the fancy hotels, or relatively fancy hotels, there in West Yellowstone. It's an old Mormon church, and we used that Mormon church for employee housing. And I mean the ceilings were like 20 feet high in this sucker, Really, no kidding. So anyway, this one particular year, either 97 or 98, like I say, I can't remember what year it was, the wife told me, she says, "Well, Jim," she says, "I think you should go get us a Christmas tree so we can put it in this living room." The living room was huge. I mean, huge. There used to be a great big fireplace in there, but we tore that out and all this other stuff. And like I say, the ceilings it was all wood in there, wood beams and all that stuff. But the ceilings were like 20 feet high, and it was kind of like a communal living thing. Great big living room, great big kitchen, and then all these individual little bedrooms for employees and whatnot. But anyway, getting back to this tree thing, I sat there for a minute and I thought, yeah, maybe I better get a tree, because we had lots of employees wandering in and out of there, and young girls, 18, 19, 20 years old, working, and as maids and stuff like that, and trying to earn enough money for college. We had all that kind of stuff going on. Well, anyway, I go up on the Continental Divide. Now, for you people that know where West Yellowstone's at, you'll know exactly where I'm talking about, US 20. It goes out south of West Yellowstone, goes out towards a place called Lion's Head. There's a Lion's Head resort out there and what have you. It's about 10 miles away from West Yellowstone, and you go up the hill, in other words, up on, what's the name of that, Targhee Pass. Yeah, there's a place up there called Targhee Pass, and that's right on the border of Idaho, Island Park, Idaho, and West Yellowstone, the Hebgen Lake Basin, okay? Now, prior to me going up there that particular day, I got a friend of mine that lives over in Island Park, Idaho, where I just mentioned. In fact, his cabin was only 14 miles from where I lived there in West Yellowstone. His name was Leroy, Navy SEAL he was one of the first batches of guys to ever go through SEAL training when John F. Kennedy was president and all that. But anyway, Leroy showed me this right up on top of the pass. If you walk back to the east, straight back to the east, about 100 yards back into the woods, there was the nicest stand of blue spruce that you ever seen. I mean, beautiful blue spruce, all different sizes, little guys, guys up there around 10 feet, guys up there 20 feet, 30 feet, and all that. There was just a band. This band of spruce, if you stood back and looked at it, it's a different color. That bluish green is just stands out from the rest of the evergreens, and all that. And I'd say this band of spruce trees was like, I want to say maybe like 75 yards long and maybe like 25 or 30 yards deep, something like that. And that's all it was, just like a Band-Aid right over across the top of the Continental Divide. And Leroy just showed me this place, we were up there one day bored or something, I don't know. But anyway, this is where I decided to go get a Christmas tree, see? And back in them days, I just had an old ratty Jeep. In fact, it was a 1985 Jeep Wagoneer. I remember that all too well. So I grabbed me some tools, a saw, a hatchet, or whatever. But I think I brought my chainsaw with me up there, too. But I didn't have no trailer or nothing like that. Well, I did, too. I had a 16-foot car hauler trailer, come to think of it, but it was way too big for what I was needing, or what I thought I was going to need. So anyway, I get up on top of the Targhee Pass, and this is like the middle of December of 97, 98, or whatever have you. And I grab my tools and I go tromping back into those woods, good 100 yards, whatever it was. I know it was around 100 yards or so to get that standard blue spruce. Anyway, I looked around and it probably took me like 20, 30 minutes to decide which one of those trees I wanted to cut. Anyway, so I finally got a tree scoped out that, looked like it wouldn't be too hard to get out of there. And because it was pretty brushy back in there and all that stuff, the footing wasn't too good because the snow was right up to my little gonads, if you know what I mean. Sure you do. Don't get uptight. I'm just kidding with you. Anyway, I find this tree. It's about 20 feet high. No kidding. That building that the wife and I was taking care of, like I say, it was an old LDS church, had high ceilings. So anyway, I whacked down this tree. Okay, make a long story short, I throw a rope around it, and I start dragging and falling down and probably cursing knowing me and every other doggone thing, just sweating up a storm, dragging this tree back out to where my Jeep was at. So I get the tree out there. It probably took this whole operation up on top of Targhee Pass, probably took me, from the time I got up there to when I got that tree loaded up, I'm going to say at least an hour and a half or 2 hours, for sure. Anyway, when I get the tree laying alongside the Jeep, I thought to myself, okay, dummy, how you gonna do this? Because that tree was, way longer than the Jeep. You couldn't stuff it in the Jeep or do any of this other stuff. So I managed to pick this thing up. Don't ask me how I did it, but, I had it laying sideways, and I put the top of it facing out the rear of the Jeep, you know what I mean? And I put it right up on top. Thank God I had some racks up there, some running, whatever, ski racks or something along that lines. But I do believe what I had up there came, it's how I bought that Jeep. In fact, I know it was because I never put nothing up there. But anyway, I get this tree up there with the base of the tree sticking out kind of over my hood. And I take a whole bunch of binders, straps and everything. I strap it all down and everything. And, this was a lot of work, man. I mean, a lot of work. The sweat was really running by the time I got done. So, anyway, I take off from the pass there. From the top of that pass to into West Yellowstone is about 12 miles, something like that. So, I go skidding down the hill there, and go down. And if you want to know what road that is, it's US 20. That's the road that comes out of West Yellowstone, goes all the way through Highland Park, Idaho, and down to Ashton and Idaho Falls and all them places like that. So anyway, I get down to the church where the wife and I are taking care of this employee housing and everything, and I drag this Christmas tree up into the living room area or whatever have you. And I could see right away, I stood this thing up and I told my wife, I said, yeah, that's what I figured. I started griping right away. This damn thing ain't going to fit. I'm going to have to cut it down, And yeah, I had to cut a chunk off the bottom of it, probably about 18 inches long. I remember that all too well because the top of it was, banging on the ceiling, Couldn't get no star on there or whatever we were going to do, So I cut the base of it off, trim up the tree real good and everything, because I made a deal with my wife. I told her, I'll get this in its base, I'll get it here at the church, I'll deliver it to you and all that, but my fun stops right here. Because trust me, ladies and gentlemen, I'm no fan of fat Santa Claus. I'm no fan of his weird elves. You can take that any which way you want to. And, I just don't buy the fat man, getting stuck, sliding down the chimney, leaving cookies and milk in the middle of the night and all this nonsense. And Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. What the hell's up with this? I don't understand why people just can't observe Christmas for what it's supposed to be for. But anyway, here's the reason why I don't screw up Mother Nature anymore. I don't cut down perfectly good trees or any of that. Here's what happened to me. I took to resting, because I've been working real hard and everything, and I got to looking at this this base that I cut off, okay? And I started counting the growth rings. 1, 2, 3, and so forth like that. And I got to the number 27. You might as well just call it 30 by the time it was a seedling tree. And by the time I come along and whacked it off, that tree was 30 years old. 30 years old. And that really upset me. I told myself, here Mother Nature took 30 years to grow this tree, and you come along and snuff its life out. It really bothered me. As a matter of fact, it made me quite emotional, really did. And my wife took notice of what was going on with me, and after that, she never, ever asked me to go cut a live Christmas tree again. Never did, because she knew it really bothered me, because you're not being a good steward of the forest by doing crappy stuff like that, or goopy, crazy stuff like that. For these people that have Christmas tree farms, that's a little different, where they're growing trees, for commercial purposes and stuff like that. I can see where that's manageable and whatnot have you. But just to go helter-skelter through these woods and start whacking trees down is not good for the environment. It promotes what we call in this country erosion. It does. Matter of fact, here in Montana, you have to get, in most parts of Montana, you got to get a Christmas tree cutting permit, and they only let you cut trees in certain areas. But I say get a fake tree, do something, but don't go out whacking down perfectly good 4, 5, 10-foot trees. It's redonkulous, To me, all of this crap has nothing to do with the birth of Jesus Christ, okay? But anyway, point being is because that upset me so bad when I realized I murdered a 30-year-old tree, like I say, my wife, my gracious wife, never had me do that again. And I whacked down a lot of Christmas trees in my year, but it just so happened that this was a special bunch of trees up there on the Continental Divide, really pretty, that deep bluish green. You guys know what I'm talking about, And so that's not too funny of a story, but that's what I'm going to use for a Christmas e-card and everything. And while I got you here for a minute, folks, I do notice every once in a while I get, like YouTube's always sending me these little notices. Well, you had 30 subscribers this month, and all this other stuff. And I know I run a weird channel, but I do thank the people that sign up for my program. YouTube, like I've said many times, is just a hobby for me. I'm not out trying to make money. I'm not out trying to sell anything or whatever. If you dig what I'm doing here, fine. And if you don't, that's fine too. I don't entertain comments because the haters and trollers of this world, that's, I'm not digging any of that stuff. So anyway, that is why I don't cut Christmas trees anymore, and I don't believe in fat Santa Claus. I don't cut Christmas trees anymore, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm trying to be a good steward of the earth. A good steward of the earth. Ladies and gentlemen, take care of yourselves. We shall see you on down the trail, and adios, my friends.